Hello everyone, it's James from Keeping It Anime, and in episode 31 of Bungo Stray Dogs, we have a very heart-filled and emotional focus on both Atashi and Kyouka. So, we start the episode off with the focus on Kyouka's character. Now, I love Kyouka as a character, and honestly, this episode really does hit home and add more value and characteristics to her character that I just absolutely loved. So, we do start this bit off the episode with a bit of comedy, as Kyoko and Atashi are looking for a briefcase filled with cash as part of a mission. But Alice intervenes, and basically, this is where the forcing of comedy comes into play. So they're looking on the boats in the harbour for this briefcase full of cash. They don't know which boat it is because Alice has got the document stating it. And it leads to, basically, Alice and Atashi getting wet and getting naked. Yep, so moving on. We then find out, in another scene, while this is all going on, that a lady has stolen a report focusing on Kyoko's parents. And this turns out to be this lady right here. So this lady is actually part of the Port Mafia, as we see in one of the scenes that have her inside. So we might see some more kind of interactions between her and Kyoko later on down the road. I would be open to that. That'd be cool. So the gang find the briefcase of money, and it turns out that it's empty. However, it turns out that the government documentations, the report that was missing from the scene we've just witnessed, was actually inside that briefcase. And this, like I said, contained information about Kyoko's parents. So we read the documentation and find out two main things. So, Kyoko's parents were government assassins. Pretty cool. They were very good in their field, and they were always kind of looked upon as being one of the best, which means they had a lot of enemies. We have a very nice and graphical scene of the past where Kyoko's parents are sitting down at the table, little Kyoko is out playing with the ball, and her parents get attacked. This shows us just how her parents died. And I'm not going to lie, I would be traumatized as well if I was Kyoko seeing my parents both dead on the floor with loads of strange men in the room. So, the other thing that we also learn is that Kyoko's parents, her mother in particular, she had control of Saya Yuki, also known in the English as White Snow. And that she transferred it to Kyoko once she died. I mean, that was just brilliant. I loved the way that her mother was still bleeding out and saying, "Please look after my daughter." It was brilliant. Now, another way this scene really did work is that it really did show some more emotional kind of development for Kyoko as a character. We know Kyoko's had a lot of development from going from an assassin that killed people working for the Port Mafia to being someone who wants to help people under the detective agency. But from a facial standpoint and from a angle standpoint, we do get to see some nice facial expressions from her character. And this was really good. One thing this scene also does is it kind of could lead to a confrontation in the future between Kyoko and the guy who had the gift that killed her parents, essentially. Because the ability that killed her parents was an ability that basically allows you to control the person that your blood gets onto, causing their eyes to go a horrible colour, and, you can control them to do whatever you want. And maybe we'll get this confrontation in the future. I'll be open to that. That'd be good. So we do have to leave Kyoko for a bit, and then we get to have the real heavy focus of the episode. And this comes with Atashi's character. So, the headmaster of the orphanage that Atashi was basically tortured in has died. He got hit by a truck. And this whole part of the story, part of the episode, was focused on Atashi coming to terms with that death. This man is a man who tortured him from a very young age. And the way they handled this sort of struggle between Atashi and his emotions for this guy was absolutely fantastic. So at the start he's very happy, like creepily happy. But then he starts to understand and try to figure out why the headmaster would have been where he was and why he was holding a piece of paper of the news that was relating to the coverage of the Moby Dick saga where Atashi was using his powers. And throughout this scene, we do get a flashback of little Atashi in a chain in a cell, and the headmaster has a statement, a line that I really did like. She states to Atashi that, "Hate me, but never hate yourself." And that to me was brilliant for his character, because he knew that Atashi was the were-tiger. Atashi knew that the were-tiger was hurting people and causing trouble. If he ever found out that he was the were-tiger, he would absolutely be devastated and would hate himself, and his values on life would be a lot different than what he is now. Okay, so we then close this episode out with a scene between Dazai and Atashi. They're both discussing the feelings that Atashi is having towards the headmaster, because his feelings are coming to more sadder sort of feelings and not feelings of happiness and, appraisal. Although the headmaster put him through hell, Dazai does state that yes, he's a scumbag. But, Atashi can't 100% hate the headmaster. He just can't. No matter what has happened to him in the past, he just can't bring himself to it. As abusive as their small father and son relationship was, Dazai states that the lengths that the headmaster would have had to go to hide the existence of the were-tiger from everybody else and Atashi himself would have been a very hard thing to do. So, that plus the fact that the headmaster is coming to the city and searching for Atashi, and to say well done for what you've done in these events, clearly does show that the headmaster deep down cared for Atashi in his own weird way. So that does emphasize the whole parent sort of relationship between the two. And one last line that Dazai states that I really did enjoy was, "It's because of the hell that the headmaster put you through and that you endured. That's the reason why you're the person you are today." So, like I said, as messed up as the stuff the headmaster did, he played a big part in Atashi's views and values on life, shaping him to be the man that he currently is. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be anywhere near the character that we know him as today. It's also worth noting that Dazai kind of does take the role / baton of the fathership role of Atashi once those two meet. Because we now have this dynamic between the headmaster and Atashi where there's a weird kind of father relationship going on where the headmaster really did care for him but did it in the most horriblest way possible. And then we've got Dazai, who's doing the exact same thing pretty much, but he's not doing the messed up torture stuff that the headmaster did. Instead, he's teaching him how to use the tiger to his advantage and make it his own. So they're both kind of trying to do the same thing, but one's going about it in a very, I wouldn't say civil and respectful way, because they both end up making Atashi in so much pain. But one's going a better route than the headmaster did in the route that he chose. I thought that was a very good kind of symbolism and connection between Dazai's character and the headmaster's character. I might just be the only one that thinks that. Let me know if you think that as well, but that's just something I thought of while I watched this episode. We end the episode with Atashi crying, and it really does hit home just how much he is cared for and, the feelings that he's got towards this guy. And overall, this episode was so fantastically done from an emotional standpoint, and from a character development standpoint. Both Kyouka and Atashi were brilliant in this episode, and the information that we got was very fascinating, and I enjoyed every minute of it. The animation throughout this episode was, again, fantastic, especially the facial expressions. The way they handled those was really nice, actually. Okay, again, you've got the whole panned out face, like completely gone of features, but hey, I find that to be the animation style of Bungo Stray Dogs that is kind of classic towards it. And I like it, considering they really push the budget and the details when it really matters. The music in this episode was absolutely phenomenal. I loved everything about the music and the sound effects, especially when we have the scene of Atashi crying at the end with the ending 3 song coming into play, being quite a sad and emotional song as it is. It really did pair nicely with the ending scene. So yeah, like I said guys, overall I 100% enjoyed this episode. I would highly recommend anybody to go and watch it if they haven't already. If you're a fan of the series, you'll definitely love this episode from a character building standpoint. So, if you liked the video, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me, and until next time, I hope you will have an amazing day, and keep it anime. Later. Bye.